because I can't read necessarily without them.
You can do whatever you want. Yeah, there's going to be lots of,
but I get the reflection on the glasses, so.
I can see it, yeah.
Yeah.
So. All right, so we're here. So welcome, everyone. It is Thursday, and we're back. I'm glad to be doing tonight's show because I've screwed up the schedule because shows were normally every Tuesday and Thursday, but I had to change it to every Thursday now. And then I'll have to change it again to every Thursday and Friday, but welcome. So I'm just waiting for people to start coming online here. They're probably wondering where I am. My grandmother starts texting me right at 8 o'clock if she doesn't see me pop on. So
that's actually very sweet.
Yes. One of my regulars. So yeah, a bunch of my family members and friends and stuff. So yeah. So Jeffrey, welcome, because you are the guest tonight. I'm going to be talking.
Brian. It's great to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, and so have I. Like I said, things are changing, and it's about time that I represent my own community and having LGBTQ, whether that's what they are and that's what they write, or simply they just write it, because I've noticed that a lot of the gay romance novels that I've been reading, they're all women. So it confuses me. Which I'm pretty sure there are a lot of male authors out there that write it. So, but this that you've written is not technically a book yet. It's more of a blog.
It's a blog with the intention of publishing it as a book, yes.
The last time I checked, you were at chapter 25.
That's correct. And that's pretty much since March when COVID began. And I hadn't written in a couple of years. I went through a divorce a couple of years ago and just wasn't able to focus. And after my husband decided it was over. And when COVID started, another friend of mine, Cinia, wrote this hysterical book, Confessions of a Helmet-Free Childhood, about her experiences growing up without all the rules that kids today have. And she really inspired me to get back to my writing. Mm-hmm. The idea first came to me a number of years ago. I was at the gym. I had a friend, Deborah, and we did cardio on the elliptical machines together, and we would chat and laugh. And as is typical, I got the question, when did you first know you were gay? And it's so funny because we never ask straight people, when did you first know you were straight? Right. But, and I think every LGBTQ person has had that question somewhere along in their life. And so I started sharing some stories from my childhood saying, yeah, I remember back to things when I was 5. And we started laughing about one story in particular. And she said, you really should write some stuff down. And I think that same week I went and wrote, a few notes, not a lot, on the, opened up Word on my computer and wrote a few things and shared it with her. She laughed and wrote a few more. And then when I moved to Palm Springs a few years ago, I joined a writing class at the LGBT Center in town and really learned a lot from everyone else in the class, what they were writing. Some people were writing memoirs, some people were writing fiction, some were writing science fiction. It was a real mix of people. And the instructor, David Wallace, is a noted author who just wrote a book about his uncle, Harry Truman. And so that got me more into thinking about this as a potential book. Mm. And then, like I said, the divorce happened. Writing was not at the top of my mind. I couldn't get into that space that you need to write. And then with COVID, it's almost been therapeutic to go back. And the fun thing is I'm adding photos in the blog for each chapter. So I'm going through my parents' old photo albums, my old photo albums, my high school yearbooks, and finding photos to include. And I'm getting more comments about the photos I'm posting sometimes than the actual wording that I'm writing that week.
So this story is about you.
It's about me, and it's a no holds bar kind of what it was like growing up as a little tow-haired white boy in the eastern part of Los Angeles, a very mixed neighborhood, Hispanic, and Caucasian. Now, back then, we just referred to everyone as Mexican because most of my neighbors were. It wasn't derogatory. That's how we talked with one another.
Yeah.
And so I identify more with the Mexican culture than probably the German culture, which is my heritage. My next door neighbor, who was like my second mom, and I write about her a lot in the blog, taught me how to make refried beans, enchiladas, tacos. We make tamales at Christmas time. She taught me Spanish pronunciation. I learned some Spanish from her. But then still struggling with I know I'm different from everybody else. And not knowing what that was, but knowing that I was different. This is an attempt to look back at it now and be able to laugh and look at all the funny things. There are serious parts, and I don't deny that there were very tough times, but there are also maybe things that weren't funny at the time, but they're funny as hell now when I look back and think about them.
So all because of a friend and COVID, you've decided to...
Yes.
I mean, we have time, I guess, right? So
we do.
You know, and it's funny because most of the authors that I've had on will say, yeah, well, COVID has given me this ample opportunity to start writing something, and usually something different that they've never written before. So because you've never written anything before, right?
I did a lot of writing in my career. I was in public relations for years, so I wrote lots of press kits, press releases, bios, copy for marketing materials, things like that. But to actually write for myself, this is something I did after I retired, when I started with the first few ideas, and then that led to where I am today.
So where in the book did you think was the right time in your life to start writing from?
Well, it's not necessarily chronological in order. Some chapters will start when I'm age 5, and then the issue will go all the way through to adulthood. Other times it's focused on one short period of time. But pretty much it's around the ages 5 to 7 where it begins. And one of the major beginnings for me was television, where I first noticed men when I was watching television. And one of my big crushes early on was Robert Conrad in The Wild Wild West. And all I can remember is the suit. It usually was a dark blue or a royal blue suit that he wore. Tightest pants in the free world. And I instantly became, can I say it on here, an ass man, because he just wore those pants really, really well. And then after that, I mean, who can forget Dr. Joe Gannon on Medical Center, Chad Everett, who, those eyes, and probably a fetish of mine now is men in scrubs, because I love the way he looked in the scrubs, and he had the body for it. He really did. And noticing things, I'm watching these shows with my parents. This is 1960s, early 1970s. And my mother and I are swooning over the same characters without either of us realizing the other one is. And it's pretty funny. If my parents were still here, I would give them a big thank you. They're both passed away, unfortunately. But CBS, NBC, and ABC, as I say in the blog, 3 best friends a gay kid can have growing up, because they provided me with lots of visual pleasure.
Gotcha. Okay. Never heard that one before. So, but yeah, I can see how that would work. Yeah, absolutely. So,
and it's funny, when that chapter posted, a lot of people were saying, well, what about this? How about Little Joe on Bonanza? Or how about, what was his name on the, I don't remember from the show, it was set in Seattle, Here Come the Brides. And there were 3 brothers, and they were all in Levi's and boots, and it was very butch. And I remember being fascinated by the 3 brothers, not necessarily all the brides that they had brought to town.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because it does mention that, you really no holding back. So
No.
anything could be written in the book, and it does say, celebrity crushes and, et cetera and stuff. So like I told you at the beginning, in our chit chat, I did not get to read any of it. I did go to the blog site just to see exactly what it was. So I'm definitely going to read it, obviously, because to me it sounds interesting. So yeah, how far do you plan on taking it?
I think for this particular version of the book, I will probably stop at 18 when I am leaving high school and headed to college. I did not come out till I was 25, even though there were things I experienced. I had a little friend that we fooled around a bit, in our preteen and early teen years. But, growing up in a Catholic family in a very Hispanic neighborhood in Los Angeles in the 1960s and 70s, you did not come out. You didn't even admit it to yourself that you were feeling these feelings. Mm-hmm. And that's true for so many people in the LGBTQ community that they were growing up. It's changing now, obviously. Yes. But back then it was very different. And also having a sense of insecurity and a bit of anxiety disorder, that made it much harder for me to come out. And I actually came out with a coworker when I was 25. And that was my coming out experience. Unfortunately, 6 months after we started dating, he came down with what we thought was the flu. This was 1983. And it turns out it was AIDS. And he died about a little over a year after that. So my coming out experience was very different than a lot of other people because I was thrown right into that immediately. And this were in the days where I went to visit him in the hospital and I had to put on a gown and a mask. And there were warning signs on the door when I went in. And one of the things that was most irritating was I went to visit him one afternoon and he was eating off paper plates and plastic silverware. And I said, Steve, why are you eating off paper plates and plastic silverware? And he said, oh, their dishwasher's broken. And I said, oh, okay, I'm going to go use the restroom. I walked down the hall and I looked in the rooms as I walked down the hall and everybody had regular china and silverware. So I went to the nurse's station. I'm kind of ballsy and kind of brash and asked to use the phone. And I called his doctor and I said, they're serving Steve on paper plates and plastic silverware. And the nurse looked at me, the charge nurse looked at me and the doctor, you could hear him screaming. He goes, hand the phone to the charge nurse. And I don't know what he said. All I could hear was him, and Steve had regular silverware and plates after that.
That's terrible.
Stuff like that happened. And people forget. People don't realize how awful it really was.
Yeah.
At the beginning. And so that's another reason I'm writing this. I'm looking back at previous partners that are no longer here, friends that are gone, and wanting to share stories because for some of my friends that are my age or near my age, it's a way to look back, straight or gay, and remember things that were awkward for them in their childhood. But also for younger people that are just coming out or have come out just recently, to see what someone my age went through and how I handled it and how I have come out the other end and had a successful life and a successful career and hopefully a lot more life ahead of me.
Well, yeah.
As Jane Fonda says, I'm in my third act. So yeah. The third act is a gang, not a gangbang, excuse me, where'd that come from? Is the best of the eras yet.
Absolutely. I mean, I was not around for that. So for me, I don't really know, even though it's my own community, I don't know what really happened back then. So the only thing that I can do is watch documentaries, talk to people. I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing of this, so it gives me some education and, what people had to go through to get what we have now, sort of thing, and feel appreciative that I can walk around with, no shame or whatever. Well, right. Depending on where you are anyways, but
there's always some,
exactly.
And certain parts of the country, you're always looking over your shoulder. And it's one thing I say to a lot of straight people when I've spoken in front of groups is you can run around for the most part and live your life, hold your girlfriend's hand, kiss your husband out in public, not think twice about it. We do. And you've got always this underlying sense of apprehension that affects you on a daily basis. And that wears on your psyche. And so the more we can feel comfortable with ourselves, and if there was any silver lining out of the AIDS crisis, is that it brought us into the public and it brought our issues to the public. And it showed how we could, as a community, rally and build these institutions that demanded and achieved treatments that are now keeping all of us alive. I'm a 30 plus year HIV long-term survivor. So, I'm so proud of what our community has done. And a lot of that community were the lesbians back in the 80s who weren't sick, and they were taking care of a lot of the men who were getting sick and helping to run a lot of the organizations that were providing medical services and social services. So I just think it's an amazing community. And now with COVID, we're in a whole new, it almost reminds me of the early 80s where do I meet somebody on Scruff or not? Who's safe, who's not safe? Can I shake hands? Can I not shake hands? It brings back a lot of that angst and that worry that I experienced in the early 80s. And several of my friends who are my advanced age have said the same thing. You wouldn't know I'm 95. I look good, don't you think?
Yeah. You look fantastic. I hope I look like it at 95.
I always tell people you're at least 15 or 20 years older than you are, and then they think you look great.
Absolutely.
The problem is if someone says, "Oh, I wouldn't have guessed you over 75," then I'm screwed.
I would not put you anywhere near 60. I know that. You don't even look 60. So
I'm 63.
Wow.
But I claimed temporary dyslexia, so I'm actually 36.
There you go.
I should be 46, and it works for me. Every decade I start over. So I was 6 a few years ago, and I should have had a sweet 16 party at my 61st, or a quinceañera, based on where I grew up. Something fun like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still in my 30s. I'm close to that 4-0. I'm not looking forward to it, but it is what it is. So
it's a great time, Brian. 40s are a great time, not to worry.
I hope so.
50s were great. Turning 60 was a challenge. That was like, wow, I'm now officially a daddy. So where are all the cute men? I'm here. I'm with a dog and a cat. I did something wrong.
I don't think so. All right, let's see what we got here for comments, because for some reason it's lagging, because for a while I had 0 viewers, then all of a sudden all these viewers popped up, and now the comments are lagging. So let me just go back just to I'm saying hello to people. So
my vodka on ice. No, it's water.
Well, you can drink whenever you want. You're at home.
You'll notice when you read the blog is I have a pretty warped sense of humor. And that's when I was very young. So you got to laugh to get through life.
Sometimes I agree 100%. So, okay. So we have Alex. Welcome, Alex. We have Daniel Payton, who's another author. David Nathanson is with us. My grandmother, there she is. Daniel Payton, you might find that there are a lot of guys who write romance and use a female pen name because people are more apt to buy a romance novel written by a woman rather than a man.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Elizabeth, we have Elizabeth watching. Barry.
Hi, Barry. Hi, Elizabeth. And Chris Evans is here, I see.
Yeah, you might be able to see people before me. This happened to me one other time with another guest, where all of a sudden she was answering all these questions and I didn't see a thing, but for some reason she was getting them before me. So, but anyways.
My friend Barry said your adulthood friends are happy you're stopping at your teen years, because there are stories that Elizabeth, Barry, and some others factor into when I continue in the later years. And I've told them I will accept checks not to write certain stories.
Okay.
So far, no checks have arrived. So Elizabeth, Barry, I'm just giving you fair warning. The pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah, absolutely. Barry says that you make the best enchiladas.
I am known for them because my second mom, Shirley, taught me how to make them. And I think they're good. I will put them up against anybody's enchiladas.
Oh, okay. Feeling confident. Let's see. Elizabeth loved the writing. The photos are icing on the cake. I did notice the pictures. That was a very good idea. So
Didn't it look like Dennis the Menace in some of them?
the one, yeah, I could see the similarities.
Well, kind of my nickname growing up, and then when Calvin and Hobbes came around, everyone started calling me Calvin because of all the practical jokes I've played over the years. My mom was my biggest foil. I could always get her, and my national holiday is April Fool's Day. And a lot of friends won't take phone calls or read emails from me on that day. So I've had to get very creative. And I'm usually find a way to get them even when they're not even when they think they know and think they're prepared. It just gives me more a challenge to find a way to play a good one on them.
Oh boy.
Elizabeth just wrote, thank God, definitely stop at age 18.
So what is the end goal of writing all of this?
Well, I do want to publish. There's a little bit of ego involved in that. I would, it's kind of a bucket list thing. I'd like to have a book published, and it may be independently published or self-published, or, who knows which avenue that's going to go. But I want it to be something that there's so much serious stuff out there. And a lot of the movies and the TV shows about gay characters are so serious. And we have such a fun side. Just go to any pride celebration or any big dance or go to a bar on a Friday night. We have a lot of fun, and we need to hear more of that. And that's one of the reasons I'm writing this. I also felt like a lot of books that I've read about people growing up gay shy away from the sexual side of it. And I don't. I talk about discovering masturbation. I talk about frottage. I talk about playing around with friends, discovering things accidentally. My sex talk with my mom is one of my favorites, and it's in the blog. The big sex talks was the man has a seed and the woman has an egg, and the two to get together, and that's how there's a baby made. And being the village idiot that I was growing up, I always thought there was a seed. So I would always look for the seed when I jerked off, and thought that there would be I figured it looked like a little rye seed. That's how stupid I was. And there's a whole thing in there. I was on vacation with my grandparents in Ohio the first time that I actually ejaculated. And I was looking for the seed, and initially thought I had broken my penis because this stuff came out. And I was 14. So seriously, the village idiot, really. I think I've come a long way since then, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, these comments are slowly coming in because I can see the timestamp of Elizabeth at 8:19. It is now 8:24 here.
Yeah.
Your best years are over. Best years ever are 40 to 50. Okay. I will remember that. So, and I'm pretty sure that in between there's some sort of midlife crisis that I keep hearing about. That happened
at age 25, actually.
You went through it at 25.
Yeah.
I don't think I've gone through it yet. I'm very surprised.
You're a little young for it. Maybe in your mid 40s, maybe 50. Some people never have one. I think my ex had his at age 55. But I don't think he'll live to be 110. Is that bitchy or catty? Sorry.
Oh boy. I know how it can be because I'm already once divorced, so I know how it is. So yeah. Oh yeah. And the bastard's still alive, so but that's all right. Yeah. All right. So you play. So as I said at the beginning, so for people who are just joining in, so the plan is to find a publisher, or a lot of authors are self-publishing. I know that Amazon is fantastic for that. I've used it myself. So there's always that route. So the plan is to actually, have it so that I can read a physical copy of it.
Yes.
But at the moment, it is a blog online,
right?
And I know that you can. I did put the link. I know that you can do that again if you want to type that in.
You can pop that in here.
Sure. And so far we're up to chapter 25.
Up to chapter 25, and we're kind of in the high school years right now. So the last chapter talked about getting my driver's license, and if I can just share a little bit of it, we started driver's education training in January of sophomore year, and it was taught by the football coach, the head football coach in the gymnasium. I went to a Catholic high school. And as March was coming around, several of us, including this didn't know he was gay boy, couldn't wait for the Oscars, and found out that the Oscars were going to be the same night as our class. And so, of course, me and a couple of others said, so coach, are you going to cancel class next week when the Oscars are on? And it's like, why in the hell would I do something for a silly show like that? And we were all furious. And so my dad dropped me off at school. I did my class, and he picked me up, and I said, so how'd it go? And he goes, our girl did it. And he was talking about Liza Minnelli. And it was one of the sweetest moments I ever had with my dad, because the fact that my dad was very gruff and very serious. For him to say, our girl did it, was just, it's a memory I will never, ever, ever forget. Clearly he loved the movie. He wasn't a big movie fan, and definitely not a musical fan per se, but he loved Liza Minnelli. And maybe there was a little closeted part of him somewhere in there, because if you don't love Liza, there's something wrong with you, right? Who couldn't love Liza?
That is true. That is true. So how many more chapters how many chapters have you planned? Or you're just...
I think my goal is about 30 chapters. That would put me at about probably around 80 or 90,000 words, which is a fairly good sized book.
Yeah.
I don't want to repeat anything, and some bits and pieces come back here and there because of the interconnectedness between when I was younger and when I'm older. But there's still a few more stories to tell, and I started to blossom in my junior year of high school. I think it's when I went and worked at a steakhouse called the Steak Corral, and all the kids there were from public school or they had dropped out of school. It was very different than my sheltered Catholic school environment. And I finally was living in the real world and drank for the first time, had a cigarette for the first time. And not that I'm advocating that, but they were just fun and full of life. And we just did a number of fun things together. And it really kind of brought me out of my shell. And that's also when I discovered that my sense of humor could be a way to make me more comfortable in a social group where I wasn't comfortable before, especially in high school. So one of the stories that's coming up talks about how I told my friends junior year, towards the end of the year, that I wouldn't be coming back next year. And they were like, why is that? And I said, well, because I'm dying. What? And they joked, like, no, I've got, I made up this whole cancer thing and blah, blah, blah. You're kidding. Oh my God, that's terrible. And how long? And can we see you in the summer? And then when I told them, oh, that was really a good one, Jeff. You're so funny. And after that, I was in that clique, because I made them laugh. I could laugh at myself. And as a lot of comedians will tell you, they found their way in the world when they were shy, which I was a very shy kid, by humor.
Yeah. I probably did. I think I did the same thing in school. So I didn't really want to be bothered, and I wasn't sure how to make friends. So, I'm gonna copy and paste this because this went to the wrong chat there, Jeff.
Did I put it in the wrong place?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you didn't mean to. So
no, but that's again, like I said earlier before we were live. I'm just a couple steps away from the assisted living facility.
No.
At least the memory care unit.
Copy.
So Barry's saying hi, Jeff, but I can't really respond to him, can I?
Obviously, he can.
He can post, but I can't respond.
I would hope that there's not that big of a delay that we're. Well, there probably is, because we're talking and they're playing catch up. So,
yes. Let's ask them if anybody. Are you hearing us real time? And are you noticing that your comments are posting later? Maybe because they're posting on Facebook, and then it has to transfer over to this portal. Maybe.
No, there should be only about a minute delay. even when you use Facebook Live on Facebook itself, there is still a delay. So because
Sharon and Dave just joined. They're very, very good friends of mine. They're like family, like Elizabeth is family, Barry is family, Sharon and Dave are family. I'm the godfather to their second son. So glad that they're here tonight as well.
yeah, welcome Dave and Sharon. Chris Evans. Chris says the pen is mightier than the sword, but the credit card trumps both. Oh, must be talking about when we were talking about paying people not to be reading their own stories. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that comment yet. So you're seeing things I'm not. My friend David says, Jeff has ruined many April 1st days for me.
Alex, we need more juicy stuff on the Wicked Witch of the East.
That's my middle sister, Shirley, who my older sister nicknamed the Bad Seed. Is that yours, Bean, or is that mine?
It's me. I don't know why. I could have swore I've turned this thing off, but I don't know how. All right.
I think I need to add more light to the picture. I'm getting dark in the screen.
You are.
Hold on. I will be right back. I do have pants on.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, people.
I've done enough media training, to know you always.
Well, let me tell you.
That's better.
So far, I've been lucky. I've only had one guest that was not on this platform when I did the show before, and we were on Skype, and
right.
So yeah, he was just sitting there, and because the only people that could see him were me and my co-host Sherry. So, and she wasn't really paying attention. She was just oblivious to whatever was going on. And he was I don't know what you want to call him. I forgot the word, where they talk like other people.
Oh, yes.
Not an impression.
Little, and he's able to an impersonator.
Impersonator, yeah. So he does that and stuff. And okay, yeah. And of course, this is online radio, so nobody can see anything, thank God. Because for some reason, before the show even started, he was like, I'm going to grab a glass of wine, he says. Do you mind if I have wine? I'm like, I don't care what you drink during the show, just as long as you can do the interview. Well, he stood up. All he was wearing was a thong. That's all it took. And of course, Sherry didn't see anything. And I'm looking at him just stand up. And of course, it's right in my view. And I'm just like, oh, this is fantastic. And I didn't say anything. He must not have been shy or anything. But maybe that's how Canadians are. I don't know. But yeah.
No. I mean, I'm surprised you don't see me in a burqa right now. I'm 63. I am not going to be in a thong. No one's ever going to see me in a thong. Not going to.
Yeah, and he wasn't young either. He was I think he was in his 40s or something like that. So yeah, talking about his daughter and everything else. I'm just like,
you just offended me and a thousand other people. He's not young. He's in his 40s.
I mean, you should not be wearing something like that at that age. And no. It didn't look well. Let's just put it that way. It did not. It was not appealing whatsoever. So
that's usually the people who wear outfits like that. It's not the men that I want to see wearing outfits like that.
No.
There are some characters around town here in Palm Springs that you just shake your head and say, well, God bless them. They've got a lot of confidence. But if I used to tell my ex, if I dress like that, you have the right to pull out a gun and shoot me. Please do not let me go out in public like that.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to read this because it really does sound interesting. And I'm pretty sure that there's stuff that, I'm going to learn about. And, I think anybody should read this.
Yes, well, I mean, a lot of my straight friends who read it, they are usually the ones who comment the quickest. They'll either call me or text me, or they'll put something on Facebook almost immediately after they've read it, saying, "Oh, I really love this story. This one really touched me." I wrote one back in April of when my second mom, Shirley, and she really was like a second mom. She passed away, and I got to see her 10 days before she passed away. And so a whole chapter was divided about her. She shared the same name as my middle sister, Shirley, the bad seed, the one that Alex refers to as the Wicked Witch of East LA. Shirley's not an evil person, but she definitely was difficult to grow up with, and she's been difficult as an adult. So people have got, and I don't think she's read it. I don't think she would appreciate knowing that I'm referring to her as the bad seed, but oh well. She earned the title. And there are stories in the book, and quotes from her, things she said. But she also did come to my my ex's and my wedding in 2008 when we could legally get married in California. And that says a lot. That says a lot for her. So I give her that credit. We just have gone on divergent paths in the last few years. So it's just better to be done with that part of my life and that part of my family.
Well, now, is that your only sibling, or?
I have two. My oldest sister, Tina, is 9 years older than me. Shirley is 4 years older than me. So I was the baby. And it's amazing how many friends of mine who are gay say they were the baby. So I still think it's genetic. I mean, as far back as I can remember noticing what I was attracted to, it was men. It was the male body. It was the male, just the look. So, I don't know if being the youngest has anything to do with it, but it is a funny trait to share with several friends who say the same thing. And, other people, some of my friends didn't come out till they had families and were married and got divorced and finally accepted who they were and found their true selves. I don't like to use the term my authentic self because someone really corrupted that term by the name of Caitlyn Jenner. And I'm not a big fan because I don't appreciate her politics and I question her motives a lot of the time. So it's hard for me to say my authentic self since it's so identified with her and her story.
So you have not, when her show came out, you just were not interested at all?
The first season I watched, but she was really an asshole to her wife. I mean, I don't know the whole Kardashian thing because I don't watch those shows, but it was really sad. I thought, yes, you have your own journey and I appreciate that you took this very brave step, but you could have been a little more understanding and a little nicer. And I just don't think Bruce and then Caitlyn are nice people. I just think there's a side of them, and maybe they'll come hunt me down and shoot me, but I just really was offended by her attitude. And I think a lot of the trans community had issues with her also, because here's this wealthy, white trans woman who has a lot of privileges and opportunities that none of them had. And I think she tried to reach out to some of the people in that community, but oftentimes if you watch the show, she stumbled. And hopefully she's learning. And her political choice to support candidates that are so anti-gay, so anti-trans, is really shocking to me.
Yeah. I did watch the first season. I was glad when it was over. Mm-hmm. Because like you, I did not agree with anything that she was saying. And yeah, she was trying. But I don't know. I think it was all for the camera to make her.
Yeah, there was a lack of authenticity to it for someone who was living her authentic life. That's how I took it. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
So, let's talk about something fun. We've talked about masturbation. We've talked about ejaculation. What else can we get into? And hey, maybe somebody has questions they want to ask. If they can post their questions, we have a bit of a time lag when your questions appear, but I'm happy to answer any questions or
Absolutely.
Explain anything that you may have read in the blog or want to see in the blog. So don't hesitate. Don't be shy. For the people I know you're not shy.
Okay. So a lot of people are saying that there's no lag, which there's got to be a lag because my clock says 8:41 now, and Barry just sent something at 8:32. So unless it's catching up, it may be. I don't know, but I think there is a lag, people.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just
they're having a lag watching it, but their comments to us, we're getting a lag in seeing your comments. So if we don't respond right away, our apologies, because it's like the last one I can see is Cynia's comment, which was at 5:31 p.m. So that was 10 minutes ago or 9 minutes ago. So we're seeing your comments a little bit later. So we will get to your questions if you pose any. So just want to make sure you understand that.
Absolutely. Teresa. Is it Teresa? Teresa Mathers.
Yes, that's my friend who's married to Jerry Mathers, the Beaver, who's a great guy, a fellow Gemini. Teresa does not like the two of us in the room at the same time because we tease and pick on her, and we had a lot of fun. And but yeah, I've gotten to know him they've been together, I think, 10 years now, and just a super nice guy, and never let the stardom go to his head. He's very down to earth. He will sign autographs till the last person is standing there when people approach him, or if he's at an autograph signing show. He was on Broadway for 3 months in Hairspray, playing Wilbur Turnblad, Tracy Turnblad's father.
Oh, okay.
Years ago, and that was really fun. So I didn't get back there to see the show, but Teresa was there for a number of them.
That's awesome. So I don't think I've ever asked this question. What do you think of the culture today versus back then?
Well, I mean, it's amazing to me. I was a volunteer for an organization called the Outlet Program in Northern California when I lived near Stanford University, where my ex worked. And it was a support program for youth, LGBTQ youth, ages 13 to 20. And it was amazing. I was a mentor for a year to a 14-year-old who had come out when he was 11. I can't even imagine what that was like. There was no way I could have done that. And a lot of these kids are coming out age 5, age 7, coming out as trans when they're very young. There's a lot more acceptance, but we have a lot of battles still to go. There's been a lot of rollback of protections under the current administration, whose name I won't use. And so we can't give up, just like women's rights, just like Black Lives Matter. If we take our foot off the pedal, we slip backwards. So it's important that we continue to move forward. I think that in this period of COVID, we're all in this state of just disbelief and almost a state of suspension. There are some people who are still hooking up on Scruff and going to pool parties and things like that. It's not something I'm going to do, but I think it's a good time to reflect and see where we are, how important voting is. More than ever, it's critical because there will probably be 2 Supreme Court appointments by the next president, and our right to marry came about because of the Supreme Court ruling. So to me, that is the most critical issue that we're facing right now in the coming 90 days before the election.
Which is going to be a crazy time. So I can't wait for it to just be done and over with.
Yes, and I think we've got months to go, and I think it's going to be with us for the rest of our life. And we're going to probably we get a flu vaccine every year. When it's finally developed, we'll probably be doing a COVID vaccine along with that every year. I mean, we have pneumonia vaccines, we have shingles vaccines, so I think it's going to be a new part of life. I think it may affect our traffic patterns around the country because a lot of companies are realizing telecommuting works and people can work from home and still be productive. And some of the tech companies like Google and Facebook were doing that even before the COVID crisis. But I think more and more companies are discovering that that's a way to go. That could change the way our cities look, high rises, skyscrapers, businesses. there could be a lot of good that comes out of this very terrible and tragic time with so much loss of life.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's changing everything, but I've kind of gotten used to it now. I didn't want to accept it at the beginning.
Right.
I'm like, I don't need to wear a mask. What do I need to wear a mask for? Really? We're not wearing masks right now. It wasn't mandated. And now we're not in the red. So
yeah,
we're at phase 3. Phase 4 is, I think, bars. I don't think our bars are open or any large gatherings, concerts. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Tanglewood.
Yes.
Okay, so Tanglewood is a couple towns down from me.
Right.
So that's been canceled. The Boston Symphony Orchestra and all that stuff. So I'm glad that our governor actually mandated, if you are out in public, you're going into a business, you are to wear a mask. Right. They can refuse you. So I'm glad that he did, because all these other governors, I don't know what their problem was.
No.
Could have done it at the beginning.
No, I don't know. And we did. California was the first state to lock down. And then I think we tried to open too soon. And because of the size of California and what were we, 40 million people or something like that, it was only bound to happen that as you open bars and restaurants, that things were going to escalate once again. We've never gotten out of phase 1. We're not in a new phase. We're still in phase 1, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I wish I had known how long this was going to last. I would have lined up a COVID play buddy. I miss just human connection. It'd be nice to just curl up with somebody on the couch and watch a movie. My dog and my cat are awesome. I love them. I like this on a couch every night because they are on each side of me. They can't be close enough, which is great. But there's nothing like having that special person to go to bed with or to, just have dinner with. Eating alone has been a really interesting challenge. Just cooking for one, eating for one. I've put on the COVID 8. I think I'm on my way to COVID 10 soon.
Yeah, I think that everyone's gained a couple. I call it pandemically overweight.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah, I was eating a lot. I was not leaving the house. Everything was closed, so I wasn't able to go anywhere. The only place that was open, I think, was a Walmart. Our other stores were closed, so no, Target was open.
Yeah,
but I got tired of Target after a while, but I was scared. I didn't want to go anywhere.
Right.
So, because a lot of people at that point in time were not wearing masks, like I said, and we didn't know if it was mandatory, not mandatory, and the stores were like, well, you can wear a mask if you want to. But then everyone started cracking down, and it's like, no, you want to shop here, you have to wear a mask. So,
right.
I ate a lot. So I told you that during COVID, I picked up a habit that I normally would not have done, which was reading. Was there anything that you picked up besides the writing?
Besides the writing, I never was a binge watcher per se. The first summer I moved to Palm Springs, I moved here on a June 8th, and my ex was still working back at Stanford during the week, so I was by myself during the week. So I started binge watching The Good Wife because I had never seen it before and fell in love with the show, and I would watch 3 to 5 episodes a day. I've gotten back into binge watching, and I tried it, friends and I, we share ideas. You got to check out the show. David, Barry, Elizabeth, we've all said, if you haven't seen Normal People, check that out. Or Sex Education is another brilliant one. The Politician with Ben Platt.
I've just started watching that one.
Oh, he's wonderful. He's wonderful. And season 2 is even better than season 1.
Oh, good. Yeah,
really good. Bette Midler and Judith Light are in it, and they're both hysterical and wonderful and funny, and it's a great show. But yeah, so I'm starting to, the problem is I can't make something last. So when Hollywood came out, I watched it in 2 days, 10 episodes.
Yeah.
You've got all these hours to fill. And the other problem is, if I didn't have a Trader Joe's nearby, I wouldn't have those dark chocolate almonds and the dark chocolate covered caramels in the cupboard. And those and popcorn seem to fly out of the cupboard in the evening when I'm watching TV, and I don't want to waste food. So what's a man to do? You know, I don't have anything else to put in my mouth. I might as well have some chocolate and put on the COVID-10. Did I say I was irreverent? Yes.
Yeah.
That's my friends. Nothing is sacred. Nothing is safe.
Okay, let's see. People are they're still a little slow here on the comments. So
Yeah.
bear with me, people. Let's see here. Elizabeth likes your shirt. I'm assuming she's talking to you.
Oh, you know why? We both went to USC, the University of Southern California, and our shirts are cardinal. Our color is cardinal and gold. So this isn't an official USC shirt, but it's got the USC colors. And fight on! I'm a Trojan for life. We're a cult, and we're a proud cult. We're a happy cult. We're a championship cult, right, Elizabeth?
There you go. Barry says you look great. Chris, dress for the job you want when going on screen, at least. Laugh out loud. Elizabeth.
Someone asked about coming out to my parents. Do I want to talk about that?
Sure. I'm not doing that.
Sure. As I said, I didn't come out till I was 25, and I did not tell my parents for probably a year after I came out. I actually took my boyfriend at the time home for Christmas Eve. And because I said before, we worked together. So I told my parents, I'm bringing my coworker Steve home. He's not going home to Michigan for Christmas, and he's all alone. They didn't get it, but my next door neighbor, Linda, who I grew up with, she said, can you come over to the house for a second? I said, sure. And she goes, are you gay? Is that your boyfriend? I'm like, yeah. How'd you figure out? And I'm wearing red leather pants to this Christmas party. Come on, how gay is that? But my parents were clueless. So finally, I was getting ready to go out of town. I went home to visit my parents, had dinner with them. We were eating at the table, and somehow the subject came up about, I forget which celebrity it was, and gay rumors or something. I said, well, I've never seen him in a gay bar, and my dad's eating his food like this. He's not looking up. And my mom goes, what would you be doing in a gay bar, Jeff? And I said, Mom, don't ask anything unless you want to know the answer. Nothing else was said. I got in my car, went home, flew the next day. I was doing media tours at the time, so I was traveling every other week across the country. And she went next door to my neighbor, Linda, and she said, is Jeff gay? And Linda goes, well, you should have that conversation with him. And my mom started to cry. And Linda said, Patty, it's okay. Have you noticed how happy he is? Have you noticed how that temper of his has calmed down? This is a good thing. And when I got back from my trip, my mom called me and she said, I wish I could have talked to you the next day when you were on the plane, but just know that I love you and I accept who you are. My dad, it was a little harder for, but they welcomed my husband into the family and my previous partner, who I was with for 7 years, Mark, with open arms and bought gifts. And when we got Christmas cards, they were addressed to both of us. When we had family gatherings, we went. And my most recent, my ex-husband of 20 years, his family was incredible. And we would all get together. And it was not an issue. And that's what I'm hoping for. I would love for the term coming out to just go away, to just not be in existence anymore. I would love for when kids are growing up, you might like boys, you might like girls, you might like boys and girls, you might like anybody. It's all okay. This whole coming out thing, straight people don't have to come out. It'd be nice to you just are. You know, you love men, you love women, you love both. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? You love somebody, that's great. That's what's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you, I had a fantastic time. I didn't have any issues with family or anything like that. So, and I love the fact that when I get mail for the both of us or a Christmas card or something like that, it's just the both of us. Mm-hmm. My name is first. You know, unless it's, you know, a birthday card or something. So, Yeah. So yeah, I would like to see that go away. It's just, but then again, it's turned into this whole big thing. It's all over YouTube, and you watch all the videos of people coming out, and so yeah, it's very interesting. Teresa, we love you, Jeff.
I'm sending checks to the people for making these nice comments.
Oh, is that what it is?
My friends, yes, I send them checks monthly. Otherwise, especially with the practical jokes I've played on them, I have to keep them paid or they're not going to be my friends anymore.
Uh-oh. I might have to send Barry a check because according to him, I have offended him in some way, and he is
I think it was a comment about someone, he's older, he's in his 40s.
I'm 2 years away there, Barry, so don't feel bad. 40s and 50s and 60s is not old to me. I have many friends that are, up there in their 80s. So age is nothing to me. So please take no offense.
Yeah, if I'm on your program, my friends should know they should not be offended by anything.
No, don't be offended. Yeah. So if anyone has any more questions, we are almost at that 9:00 time. However, comments are slowly coming in for whatever reason. This has only happened to me once before, but we will answer any questions.
The last comment came in was Elizabeth saying vote, and that was at 5:46 p.m. that I see.
Yeah, see, I don't see that one. The last one I get is "We love you, Jeff" from Teresa.
At 5:54. Yeah, it's just technology. Barry works for Google. It's got to be a Google issue. Let's blame it on them.
I am using Google, so.
Okay. Well, then we'll blame them.
All right. So he can tell me all he wants.
I use Chrome. I use Chrome as my browser, so.
That's how I'm on. So maybe it is.
Barry, you get in that system there and make this lag on our comments from you guys go away.
Yeah.
Anything else, Brian, you want to ask about the blog or any other types of stories you have questions about?
So is when you go, because you said there's going to be a next part of this.
Maybe.
So if you do.
You're voting no on that, but.
I think you should. I really think you should, and you should start with Barry. Are you going to do the same thing if you do decide to continue writing it? Are you going to do the blog and then print? Or
do you know what's been nice about the blog? When I put the writing down and went through the divorce and wasn't able to jump back into it, by having the blog and posting one chapter at a time, it broke it down into parts. And that didn't seem so overwhelming to me. It was much easier to break it down that way. It's like, oh, this week I only have one chapter to write. And I'll start out thinking it's going to be 4 or 5 pages. And most of the time they end up being 12 or 14 pages. And I will go back and edit. Most of my chapters I write over the course of one day, sometimes 2 days. But I will go back and edit and re-edit. And even sometimes after I've posted them on the blog, I've gone in and edited them again. Now what I'm doing in addition to starting to write the next chapter is I'm going back to the first 2 or 3 chapters because I think my voice has changed a bit, or maybe I've come into my own voice in the later chapters. Okay. And so I want to go back and add a little more detail, add a little more dialogue where it's missing because there were some very interesting exchanges that were made. And I think that's lacking in some of the early chapters. So it's a learning process by doing it via the blog, but it also gives people who are reading it a chance to give me feedback and say, I'd like more here. I had one friend who didn't like the chapter, The Magic Seed. And he said it sounded like I was bragging. And it was an interesting comment. And I thought, I need to think about that and make sure that I'm not coming across like that, but that I'm being, real and sharing feelings and expressing emotions and trying to relate to people. Because it really is about, when someone reads this, I want them to relate to it in some way. And maybe it's about humor, maybe it's about growing up, maybe it's about awkward moments in our lives, whatever it may be. When you can relate to a book and connect with a book, it stays with you. And that's my important thing. I don't expect to make any money on this. You don't go into writing expecting to make money. There are very few Suzanne Collins or Michelle Obamas out there. So you go into it because it's a passion. Hopefully I'm good at it. It's not Pulitzer Prize winning prose. It's very basic. I kind of say I'm the really, really poor man, or I should say the Barrios version of David Sedaris. And if I could be 100th% as funny and as talented as he is, I'd be thrilled. But that kind of was my guide, like just telling stories. And Me Talk Pretty One Day is probably one of the funniest things I've ever read. And I remember reading it on the beach in Hawaii and laughing so hard I was crying. And I tried to read some verses to my ex at the time, or my husband at the time, and he couldn't understand why I was laughing so hard. I don't have anywhere near that skill or that talent, but I'm hoping that my sense of humor is coming across in the stories that I'm sharing, and that it's not a plea for, oh, poor Jeffy had a hard life. Not at all. I had a great life. Yeah, it was hard growing up and being closeted, and a lot of that's on me because I was a scaredy cat instead of, grabbing life by the balls and just coming out and facing it. Hopefully now that I'm older and wiser, I'm getting better at that. So I don't think any of my friends today would say I'm shy, but I was as a little kid, very, very shy.
Mm. So what do you do to prepare to write a chapter?
I'll wake up in the morning and an idea will be in my head, or I'll see something on a TV show and it will trigger a memory. I made an outline of chapters when I first started, and it's just expanded. I'll be writing a chapter and something will come up and I'll say, that needs to be its own chapter. So then I add that to the list. I thought I'd be lucky to come up with 15 chapters when I started this. And now I'm at 25 and headed towards 30. So it's really been motivating. It's fun. It's an ego project in a way, but it's also, I think, giving people something interesting and different to read and to hear about a time and about issues that we faced. I wish, and I'm hoping the new generation of parents are more open about discussing sexuality with their kids, because we're all sexual beings and we all discover it very early in life. And that's one of the reasons I talk about some of the things I did when I was 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, because you don't see a lot of that. And just like coming out was so important to make it not seem so abnormal, different from the rest of the world, the same thing about accepting our sexuality and being comfortable talking about it and not being afraid to say words like masturbation or orgasm, in the context of a young child. Not in a pedophile way, but from a child's perspective and what we were feeling and doing at the time, and trying to get rid of the shame component that was such a part of my growing up, feeling guilty and shameful, especially growing up in the Catholic Church.
Right. Do you think that you will write anything else? Has this kind of motivated you maybe to write something else?
I don't know. My focus right now is still on this. They always say, write what you know. Who knows your life better than yourself? But I don't know if I have a fiction book in me or not, or a romance novel in me. I'm a hopeless romantic. And I liked, do you remember My Best Friend's Wedding with Julia Roberts? When she has the scene there at the ballpark and he says, oh, you hated the yucky love stuff. And she goes, I'm comfortable with the yucky love stuff. That's me. I love the yucky love stuff. I watch the rom-coms. I love to cry at a movie or a TV show. That's who I am. And so maybe in writing this, someone will come into my life. But at 63, if someone doesn't come into my life, well, I've got a dog and a cat and the whole world out there to explore. So
absolutely,
you don't need someone to complete you, much to the dismay of whoever wrote Jerry Maguire.
Yeah. It's true, because I had to learn that. I always thought that, we always had to be with someone.
Right. A lot of us did. We were raised with that attitude. And then when you figure out you're gay, then and it's very different than the straight community because of open relationships, because of men, and we know what pigs we can be. And that is very harmful in some cases to a relationship if both people aren't on the same page. So there's a lot of navigating that goes along, and it happens in the straight world too, but it's not talked about. There's a gay resort here that just was bought out by somebody, and it's turned into a straight swingers resort. And 4th of July weekend, when everyone was supposed to be social distancing, the place was sold out, and they had a DJ and they had strippers, and it was men and women. And I can only imagine what was going on in there. So, it's in another time without COVID, more power to you. Have a great time. But during COVID, maybe not the right time.
Crazy. Just absolutely crazy. Well, like I said, I'm going to have to read it. Now I have 25 chapters to catch up on.
Thank you.
We put the link for everyone to read it because it is online. At the moment, it's online. Hopefully, it'll go to print, or
hopefully it'll be on Amazon and available in an ebook as well as a print edition. I'm hoping to move into that phase towards the end of the year, or maybe the early part of next year. I don't want to rush into something. If you self-publish or use an independent publisher, there are certain upfront expenses that you incur, and there are a lot of bad independent publishers out there. So I want to make sure that I find the right match, so that because I need a good editor, because no matter how well you think you write, you always need an editor to go in and really take a hard look at things and force you to make changes that you might not want to make, but it will be a better book if you do. And that's the next phase, is finding that editor and going from there. And then the printing part, that all is pretty logical and easy to do. It's finding the right editor and getting the right comments from that editor to make it a more, hopefully, interesting book to read.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to read it. So
thank you so much, Brian. I hope you will send me a note. I think Linda has my email address, or you can comment right on the blog, and that's what I prefer people do, because if they comment on the blog, it will be more interesting, more appealing to a publisher. If there's more followers, there's more comments, it shows that it's touched people in some way. So I encourage everyone, if you send me comments on Facebook, that's great. But if you can also comment on the blog, I would really appreciate it. And I also want to hear what you like, what you don't like, what you think is missing, what you think needs flushed out a bit more, or what maybe is too rambling. I am not in this for ego per se. I want it to be as good as it can be, and that's only with input from everyone who's reading it that will make it better.
Absolutely. I did notice that people comment on the blog, which is always good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm going to read it. I do have your email address, and I have your phone number now.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And everyone watching, for some reason, I'm blurry. Am I blurry to you?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I don't know what that's all about.
Oh, good. It's not my eyesight.
No, your eyesight is not going. I don't know what's happening, and it's really annoying. But anyways, so people watching, if you, after the show, have questions, obviously I can forward them over to Jeff here, and he will be more than happy to answer them. Or you can just read the story with the link that was provided, and then if you have any questions, you can post it right there on the blog. Either way. So
I respond to every comment on the blog and every comment that's made on Facebook, because I do post these on my Facebook page, but I also post them in groups. For example, there's a group called Gay Life After 60. So I post my blog in there because there are a lot of people in that same age range as me that have appreciated reading something and relating it back to their childhood. And there's a couple of gay Palm Springs groups that I post in as well. And then just some general authors, pages that things can be posted in as well. So it's again, it's a fun project. COVID was a way to kick me in the butt and get me back to writing again.
Yeah.
Something I struggled with. People say I'm a good writer, but I always have felt I'm a bad writer, and I've struggled with it. And it goes back to one of my jobs where I wrote this press release, and it came back with red everywhere, and I was horrified. And I thought, oh my God, I've done a terrible job. And the comments were perfect. They were great. It made me a better writer. And that's why I so encourage people to comment in the blog, because no one is perfect. Everyone can be better, and everyone can learn from other people's comments and input. So I welcome that. I really do.
Fantastic. Well, like I said, people, you need to read it. The link is there, and I'll post it again. So make sure everyone has it.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, I've gone back to normal now. Okay. So anyway, I want to thank everyone for watching, because there's like probably a gazillion people watching. The numbers just keep going up and down, which is fantastic. Sorry for the delay in comments, but I love reading all of them. So yeah. So if there's anything that you wanted to talk about, again, you're more than welcome to come on. If you decide to, go the publishing route, or the second part of this, life's story, again, starting with Barry, please reach out to me, come back.
I would love to. Thank you so much. Or if, as you're reading it, you find something that just touches you in a certain way, and you want to come back and talk about that particular chapter or that particular issue, I'm happy to do that anytime.
Absolutely.
We all have time. We all have lots of time on our hands. So it's just wonderful to have this opportunity. I really do appreciate it, Brian. I thank you so much. I really do.
Absolutely. See, so it wasn't that bad, right? It was just a conversation. Everyone's nervous.
It's funny because, as I said earlier, I used to do media training with Teresa, and to be on the other side of the camera now and I've been on camera a number of times in my life for various reasons when I was doing public relations, but it's always challenging, because when you're now the subject, at least with my media training, I spent an hour with Teresa trying to figure out the right backdrop in the house, where to put the computer, so it would, what color of shirt to wear, and all of those things that a lot of people don't think about. So, and I'm still not 100% happy with what we were able to come up with, but we're trapped in the house, so we have to work with what we have. And at least the cat didn't start yowling during the interview. Chase was fairly well behaved for once. He'll save that till 2 this morning, which is what he did last night.
I think I've seen the little one walking behind you. I can see like a tail, and
yes, the dog has been walking around because he's ready for his evening treats, and soon he'll walk. And then the cat is he's over just to the right of me now, to your left on the screen. And he's settled into one of the dining room chairs, which he will take my seat the minute I get up. Chris Evans said, focus, focus. I wonder what he wants us to focus on. But I think we're ending now, so hopefully we can get back to that later, or he can send a message to me on Facebook, or send a message to you, which you can relay to me, and I can answer for him.
Yeah, either that, or he was talking about my camera. So
maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be using Chrome ever again. I love Google. Sorry. So, all right. Well, that is it for now. So I will personally see everyone next Thursday for the next show. And again, thank you for coming on, Jeff, and talking about.
It's been my pleasure.
Fantastic thing. I'm going to read it, and I will get back to you on my thoughts or any questions that I have. I will make sure to post them on the blog.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And if anybody out there has contacts for publishing, don't hesitate to let me know.
I well, as you know, I'm friends with a bunch of authors. So if there's any information that I can give to you from them, I would
That'd be awesome.
certainly do that. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Brian. It was really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself, and hopefully everybody who was watching enjoyed it. And read the blog, have fun, laugh, cry. The thing that would hurt me the most is if you didn't laugh at least a little bit at something, because there's got to be some funny stuff in there.
Well, I can tell you that Sharon wants to see the leather pants.
I do have a photo of them. I do. I'll have to scan that and send it to Sharon. I do have a photo. Yeah, I don't think I posted that on the blog yet, but I think I have a photo with Steve and I at Christmas in my red. They were maroon leather pants. Yes.
Maroon. Okay.
Yeah, I did not get the fashion gauging. I just that passed me by. It's not true. Not everybody gets it.
All right, everyone. That is it. So thank you very much. And again, if you have any questions after the show, because I know it like runs for a couple of minutes after, just post them or go straight to the blog and read, ask your question, and I'm pretty sure he will respond. So that is
thank you so much, Brian. Have a good evening. Stay safe, and everybody out there, stay safe.
You as well.
Thank you much.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Bye. All right, everyone. That is it. That was Jeff Knollmiller coming on and talking about his book that is on a blog, so you can go and read it. It is online. The link for that is in the description of the show. We also posted it throughout the comments, so you can click on that and you can read. There's up to 25 chapters already, which is fantastic. It's been an absolute pleasure to have someone from my community come on and talk about this. He was the first LGBTQ plus author to come onto the show and talk. I wasn't really able to have, I wasn't really able to represent, we'll say, people on the show prior to just being me. So it was an absolute joy to actually talk with him and, without holding anything back. And that's exactly what this show is. And so hopefully people learn something. We want to entertain you. I want to entertain you, and I want to have fun with you guys. So again, thanks to everyone watching. Those who know Jeff, your friends, thank you for coming on and watching. Don't forget to like and share this video. And if you're wanting to watch this afterwards, don't forget that it's not just a video. There's also the podcast part of this. So this will be uploaded to hopefully to whatever podcast platform that you use. I always want to say we, I don't know why. So I am currently on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I just Googled myself today and told Google to play the Brian Shepherd Show. And in my car, I was listening to my own voice. It was kind of weird. I don't like my voice, but I'm on Google Podcasts, which is pretty cool. So there's that for you. This is also live on YouTube, so thank you guys on YouTube for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. You'll get the notification of when I go live. And that's pretty much it. I've run 20 minutes over. I don't think I've ever done that, but it was worth it. So again, Jeff, thank you for coming on and talking with us. To my grandmother, obviously my aunt is still without power, so she was not able to join us. So I will talk to you next week. So good night to my grandmother, Sharon, Chris, Barry, Elizabeth, Daniel Payton, Teresa, and Chris Evans, all you people. There's so many people I can't. David, Sharon, and all those people. Thank you so much for watching. So that is it. I'm going to go, and I will see you all next Thursday. So, yeah. Have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the weather wherever you are. Hopefully there's no more storms. That is it. So, all right, everyone, have a great weekend. Goodbye.